Okay, people, I'm discussing this case. This is a 71 count indictment against 6 Massachusetts state troopers. However, it is not just the 6 state troopers who were charged, and this is a 2024 case. This went on when Karen Reed was going through her first trial. My issue is this. There are people in this case, which I'm about to show you, that are not named. In fact, their names are redacted, and that's because they're being used as witnesses because the FBI chose not to prosecute them and use them as witnesses instead. However, if there are cops giving bribes and being involved in illegal activity, even if they're not charged, in the United States of America, defendants have a right to challenge and have evidence to challenge anybody's credibility. And if you're involved in criminal activity, even if you're not charged, and there's evidence of that collected by a federal agency, that should be used against them, to include even in civil cases. So let's discuss this case, because there's a whole lot of people, names redacted. And I'm asking, will you please share this, like share it in a message on Facebook or whatever social media account you have, put it in an email, share it in your text, okay? Because I am sick and tired of the mainstream media hiding this. This should have been front and center while they're out there talking about, well, is it really possible that many people or the cops will be corrupt? Well, they're hiding this case. It makes me sick. So if I have to go out there and sit on my walker and hold a sign to expose this, then I will do that, because I'm done with the media hiding this. And I'm also going to have a sign holding the name of every single media outlet who hid and did not discuss this case. And I mean every single one, including Court TV, where they selectively choose what to expose to the people for money over other people's tragedy. They hid this. And I'm like, it's over. We're going to boycott every single media, and they are either going to share this or they're going to be boycotted. And I'm going to start that campaign right now. The indictment, okay, here's their names. These are the defendants right here, okay? But it's not about them that I'm making this video. They're facing the music, okay, with these charges. It's the other people that I'm concerned about, who could be putting people in prison or jail and may have already done that. If they're willing to be involved in a illegal activity, in giving bribes and getting special treatment, nah, man. Every defendant in the United States of America got a right to challenge their credibility. That's what I'm fighting for with this case. And how many testified in Karen Reed's trial? Was there any there? We don't know. Person identified here as friend conspirator was a friend of Sitterquist. The friend conspirator worked for construction management general contracting firm in Nashua, New Hampshire. Friend conspirator also had side business performing construction related work. Relevant background, federal relations, governed CDL. Now this is it's about basically they were literally selling or giving away CDL licenses. Okay, so it does matter because of the amount of people that was involved, and it's this special treatment that they got, the golden treatment. And I'm going to show you the text messages that they have between officers and fellow troopers statewide, okay, involved in illegal activity that continue to testify against people. And there's nowhere here it says that those people were fired or ever disciplined for being involved in this illegal activity. Okay, so I'll put a link in the description of this video. Okay, if you want to go and read it. But I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about with these redacted names. I'm not gonna really sit here and read this whole thing. Okay, here we go. So these are the text messages that there was firefighters, there was cops and troopers, there was a Canton tow truck owner, there was people from Canton was involved. So it says so talking about is for friends. Your first guy works for Good Friends. He's going to be the sponsor. They're getting special treatment, and if they don't like somebody, they're going to hurt them. See this? blah, blah, blah. Sorry about the profanity. I don't like profanity on my channel, but, you know, it is what it is. So I guess I'll have to put a disclaimer. In anyways, but I'm just saying, Nadia's busted grass, my front lawn. So anyways, these are conversations between them, and they're talking about how they will hurt somebody that they don't like with their power, and they will give them, take care of them, you know, and they're talking about giving gifts between each other. And that was something that came up in the first trial about, there was text messages about gifts, and people were like, what? You know, they didn't really get it, but the FBI, why did they even get involved in that case? Because this was going on. Look at this. Look at this. This has been going on before. So I think that this was part, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think this was part of the reason that they even got involved in, like, do we need to go down there in Canton and, you know, round up some people there too, prosecute? You know, the FBI is still looking too. By the way, because the media leaked that the FBI was still investigating. They wanted people to think that the FBI investigation was over, so that everybody would let their guard down and start talking again. And some media person, and I don't know why she did this, but I'm going to probably go pull that video where she leaked it. She leaked that the investigation was still ongoing. I'm so mad at her. Like, how dare she? I hope they get her for that, too. Media is not supposed to leak the still ongoing investigation. I don't know, why would she even say that? How's she know? Right? How's she know there's still an investigation going on? See what I'm saying? Anyways, so, okay, I'm going to show you these redacted names, and this is what irks me. This is really long, but, I mean, you should, oh my gosh, click the link and go read this. I'm not going to sit here and, like, maybe I'll do a longer video later, maybe I'll do a live stream or something like that, but if people are interested. Look at these gifts that they got. Several hours later, Matheson texted Cedarquist, all stocked up. Not bad at all. Haha. He attached a photograph of numerous items in the Stoughton trailer, including a sealed box for an Aqua Cafe K-Cup, dispensing machine, 2 cases of Polar Seltzer water in cans, case of bottled Fiji water, case of bottled Voss water, case of bottled Arizona green tea, boxes of coffee and tea, and boxes of Twizzlers and Swedish fish candy. And then on September 6, 2019, he texted that there was a new lock on the gate and he did not have a key. I have the key. He gave me months ago and it isn't working, and was heading to Bridgewater to see if you all needed anything on the return trip. Did you get a new? I mean, so there were just all kinds of different kinds of gifts that they were doing. So what else you bring in? A lot, left a lot, want them good. And they, I mean, in these text messages, it's like they're saying, I'm not trying to find that. So give them the golden treatment or something like that is what they say. He should have failed about 10 times already. Talking, I mean, they're just giving away license. They're like, what can you give me? You know what I mean? It's just horrible. And these guys who are in law enforcement, it's insanity. You should see the amount of people involved in this. It's just, oh, I'm so mad about this case that the media thinks they're going to keep on. They think they're going to just keep it secret. Shh, we'll just keep that on the down low. We'll pay off the media or whatever. You know, we don't want anybody to know about that. Yeah, that's what you got yourself thinking. It's over, because, I'm done. I'm so done. Look at this. So, photos of Cedarquist driveway shortly after excavation began and after paving was complete are below. I mean, they were just getting services. Oh my gosh. All kinds of stuff. You should read this case, I'm telling you. The photos of friend conspirator attached to the 2 texts he sent. The conspirator brought an Ariens Platinum Deluxe snowblower from the hardware store worth about $1,900, with the friend conspirator paying $1,500 cash and hardware store owner paying the balance. I mean, like, that's why in the first trial of Karen Reed, if you remember, if you watched the trial, when they were talking about gifts in text messages, okay, and why that was so important. I don't know if the lawyers know. Maybe they were told by the FBI that they weren't allowed to discuss this case, because I don't know. But I don't care. I'm done. They're going to discuss this case. The public's going to demand that all these people with names redacted, if they're still in law enforcement after they've been involved in this criminal activity just because they weren't charged, no, it's over. You ain't going to sit up on no stand and testify and put people away after you did this. No. See right here? Look at this. They redacted 3 troopers' names. These people were not charged. They protected their identity. Mm-mm. And so, and it goes on and on and on. And so, if you, this is a very long document, but like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. It's just bad. And so they had been investigating this for quite some time, right? So I really truly believe, but again, I could be wrong, that when they went in and they started investigating, the people who were investigating Karen Reed, and I don't believe that the investigation's over. And that media, at first when I heard the lady from the media say that the investigation's ongoing, I was kind of glad, because I was heard people are saying that the FBI is no longer investigating. I think that's what they want people to think, because they need them to, let their guard down and start talking again. Right. I don't know why she said that, but I know one thing is we need to demand that every cop, this talks about the different, there was somewhere in here that talked about somebody from Canton who was a tow truck owner of a tow truck company, something like that. But you just read the document, it's in there. But we need to demand that any cop who's involved in this illegal activity, in this case, which is still ongoing, that they don't get to stay at work. They don't get to stay at work. They don't get to continue being a cop, writing reports, and testifying in court. Every defendant in the United States of America has a right to have evidence of criminal activity, even if they're not charged. If they're involved, there's evidence that they were involved in criminal activity. They did. By this case here, they gave bribes to receive. So it's conspiracy to falsify records, conspiracy to commit extortion, honest service mails fraud, falsification of records, aiding and abetting, false statements aiding and abetting, perjury. Okay, so these kinds of crimes, when people are involved, that maybe they didn't get charged because they're witnesses, maybe they cut a deal or whatever, I don't care. They still were involved in illegal activity, and you don't get to keep your job as a cop or a state trooper. You don't get to remain, and the feds should not be allowing this, so we have to fight for that. That's what this case is about, and I am begging you to share this video, or at the least take the link to this and however you do, and please, let's get together. Let's start a campaign to demand this exposure of this case. We get to know who are the cops in this case that's not named. Who are the other troopers that's not named in this case? Who are they? Are they still cops? Are they still troopers? That's dangerous. And it's up to us to bring that change.